The Wyoming thunderstorm hit without warning, turning the highway into a river within minutes. Ryan Mitchell gripped the steering wheel of his sedan, squinting through the windshield as his wipers fought a losing battle against the deluge. At 29, he'd driven through plenty of bad weather in Seattle, but nothing compared to this, the raw, unleashing fury of a prairie storm. His phone had lost signal 20 miles back. The GPS had died shortly after. Ryan was somewhere between Casper and nowhere, on a back highway he'd taken to avoid construction, and now he was paying the price for that decision. Just like he'd paid the price for every impulsive choice in his life, including the one that had brought him to Wyoming in the first place. Through the rain, he spotted a light. As he got closer, it resolved into a ranch entrance, a wooden gate with an arch overhead reading Lone Star Ranch. Ryan didn't hesitate. He turned onto the gravel drive, his city car protesting as it navigated the rough road. The ranch house appeared through the downpour, a sprawling structure with warm lights glowing from the windows. Ryan parked as close as he could and made a run for the covered porch. He was soaked within seconds, his designer jacket useless against the Wyoming storm. He knocked hard on the door, shivering. No answer. He knocked again, more urgently. The door swung open, revealing a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a Western film. Tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair, strong features, and gray eyes that assessed Ryan with a mixture of surprise and concern. He wore jeans, a flannel shirt, and no shoes. His feet were bare, suggesting Ryan had interrupted him in the middle of a quiet evening at home. "Help you?" His voice was deep, with a slight drawl that spoke of years in Wyoming. "I'm sorry to bother you. I got caught in the storm, lost my way. My phone's dead and I can't see to drive." Ryan was shaking, whether from cold or nerves he wasn't sure. "I just need to wait it out, maybe use a phone to call a tow truck or hotel." The man's expression softened. He stepped back, opening the door wider. "Get in here before you freeze. I'm Jude Hawthorne." Ryan Mitchell. He stepped inside, immediately grateful for the warmth. The interior was what he'd expected, rustic but comfortable, with wooden floors, stone fireplace, leather furniture. A half-empty beer sat on the coffee table next to a book. "You're soaked through." Jude was already moving toward a hallway. "Wait here, I'll get you dry clothes and towels." He disappeared, leaving Ryan standing in the entrance, dripping on the hardwood. Ryan looked around, taking in details. Framed photos on the mantel showing the ranch through different seasons, a guitar leaning against the wall, boots lined up neatly by the door. This was a home, not just a house. Someone lived here, alone by the looks of it. Jude returned with a stack of clothes and towels. "Bathrooms down the hall, second door on the right. Get changed, warm up. I'll make coffee." 20 minutes later, Ryan emerged wearing Jude's clothes, sweatpants and a thermal shirt that were too big but warm and dry. He'd toweled off his hair as best he could. He found Jude in the kitchen, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. "Thank you," Ryan said, accepting the mug gratefully. "I'm sorry for barging in like this." "Don't apologize. Can't leave someone out in a storm like that." Jude leaned against the counter, studying him. "You're a long way from anywhere. What brings you to this part of Wyoming?" "Work, actually. I'm a photographer, editorial and advertising mostly. I'm shooting a feature on modern Western life for a magazine." Ryan cupped the mug, letting the warmth seep into his hands. "My GPS took me on what it claimed was a shortcut. Then the storm hit." "Modern Western life, huh?" Jude's lips quirked into an almost smile. "Find what you're looking for?" "Not yet. I've been in Wyoming for 3 days, and mostly I've found a lot of empty space and terrible cell service." "That's Wyoming for you. Take some getting used to if you're from." Jude waited. "Seattle." "Seattle, yeah, this is pretty different from that." Jude refilled his own coffee. "Storm's not letting up. You might be here a while." As if to emphasize his point, thunder crashed overhead, making the windows rattle. Ryan flinched despite himself. "I don't want to impose. If you can just point me to the nearest hotel. Nearest hotel is 40 miles from here and the roads are going to be washed out for hours, maybe until morning. Jude's voice was matter of fact. You can stay here tonight. I've got a guest room. Ryan should have felt uncomfortable staying with a stranger, isolated on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. But something about Jude felt safe, trustworthy. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate this. They moved to the living room, where the fire was burning low. Jude added more wood, and soon the flames were crackling warmly. They settled into opposite ends of the leather couch, the storm continuing its assault outside. So, Jude said after a moment, "Photographer, what kind of pictures are you hoping to get?" Ryan launched into an explanation of his assignment, capturing authentic moments of ranch life, the people who still lived and worked on the land, the changing face of the American West. As he talked, he found himself relaxing. Jude listened intently, asking intelligent questions, offering insights about ranch life that Ryan found fascinating. "You actually enjoy it?" Ryan asked. "The isolation, the hard work, the unpredictability of it all." "Couldn't imagine any other life." Jude's voice held conviction. "This ranch has been in my family for 4 generations. My great-grandfather homesteaded this land. My father expanded it. When he died 5 years ago, it became mine." "I'm sorry about your father." "Thanks, he was a good man, taught me everything about ranching." Jude stared into the fire. "It's been just me since then. Well, me and a couple of ranch hands who come during busy seasons." "No family, no." Ryan hesitated, unsure how to phrase the question. "No wife, if that's what you're asking." Jude met his eyes. "No girlfriend either. Never been married and probably never will be." There was something in his tone, not bitter, just matter of fact, that made Ryan's pulse quicken. He recognized that particular inflection. He'd used it himself countless times when explaining his own perpetual singlehood to people who couldn't understand why a reasonably attractive, successful man hadn't settled down yet. "I know the feeling," Ryan said carefully. "Traditional family life isn't for everyone." Jude held his gaze for a long moment, and Ryan saw the exact instant when understanding passed between them. Neither said the word. Neither had to. But suddenly the air in the room felt different, charged with awareness and possibility. "More coffee." Jude's voice was slightly rougher than before. "Yeah, thanks." But neither of them moved. They sat there, the storm raging outside, the fire crackling between them, and something unspoken building in the space they shared. Finally, Jude stood. "Let me show you the guest room. You must be exhausted." Ryan followed him down the hall. The guest room was simple but comfortable, a double bed with a thick quilt, a dresser, a window that looked out onto darkness and rain. Jude pointed out the bathroom across the hall, showed him where extra blankets were stored, explained that he should help himself to anything in the kitchen if he got hungry. "Thank you again," Ryan said. "For all of this, you didn't have to be so kind to a stranger." "We take care of people out here, it's just what you do." Jude paused in the doorway. "Sleep well, Ryan." "Good night, Jude." But after Jude left, Ryan couldn't sleep. He lay in the unfamiliar bed, listening to the storm, thinking about the man down the hall, about the way Jude's eyes had lingered on him, about the awareness that had sparked between them, about how it had been over a year since his last relationship, since he'd felt this particular flutter of attraction and possibility. He was being ridiculous, reading too much into friendly hospitality. Jude was straight, probably just a nice guy who'd taken in a stranded traveler. The smart thing would be to sleep, wake up, thank Jude for his kindness, and leave in the morning. But Ryan had never been particularly smart when it came to following his instincts. Around midnight, unable to sleep, he got up and padded down the hallway toward the kitchen for water. That's when he heard it, soft guitar music coming from the living room. He followed the sound and found Jude sitting on the couch, playing a melody that was somehow both melancholy and beautiful. Jude looked up as Ryan entered, his fingers stilling on the strings. Couldn't sleep. Storm's loud, and I'm not used to this much quiet otherwise, if that makes sense. Ryan sat down on the other end of the couch, the same spot he'd occupied earlier. That was beautiful, what you were playing. Just something I've been working on. Music helps me think. Jude set the guitar aside. You want that water or something stronger? What do you have? Whiskey? Good stuff, not the cheap rotgut. Jude stood and moved to a cabinet, pulling out a bottle and 2 glasses. He poured generous measures and handed one to Ryan. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping whiskey, listening to the storm begin to ease outside. The fire had burned down to glowing embers, casting the room in soft, intimate shadows. Can I ask you something? Ryan's voice was quiet. And you can tell me it's none of my business. Go ahead. Are you, Ryan took a breath. I got the sense earlier that maybe we have something in common, something that makes traditional family life complicated. Jude was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm gay, if that's what you're asking, have been my whole life. Not something I advertise around here, but not something I hide either. Most folks who know me know. Some care, most don't. Ryan felt relief flood through him. I'm gay too, and I wasn't trying to. I wasn't assuming anything. I just wanted to be honest. I know you weren't assuming anything. Jude's eyes met his in the dim light. But I'd be lying if I said I hadn't noticed you. Noticed the way you looked at me. The way I wanted to look at you. Ryan's heart was pounding. Yeah. Yeah, Jude set down his whiskey glass. Ryan, I'm going to be straight with you, no pun intended. I live out here alone. I don't get to the city much, and I haven't been with anyone in over 2 years. So when a handsome man shows up at my door in the middle of a storm and I feel that spark, it's hard to ignore. I feel it too, Ryan admitted. Have since you opened the door. Here's the thing, though. Jude's voice was serious. You're leaving in the morning, going back to your real life, your Seattle, your career. And that's fine, that's how it should be. But I need you to know that if something happens between us tonight, I'm not expecting anything beyond tonight. No promises, no complications. Just 2 people finding comfort in a storm. Ryan should have said no. Should have recognized this for what it was, a temporary connection. A one-night thing that would inevitably complicate his assignment and his life. But sitting there in the dim firelight, looking at Jude's honest face, feeling the attraction thrumming between them, Ryan found himself saying, "What if I want something to happen?" Jude's expression shifted, desire and caution warring in his eyes. Are you sure? I'm sure. Ryan moved closer, closing the distance between them on the couch. I'm sure that I'm attracted to you. I'm sure that life is short and opportunities like this don't come along often. I'm sure that I want to kiss you and see where it leads. Ryan. Unless you don't want to, if I'm reading this wrong. Jude cut him off by leaning in and kissing him. The kiss was electric. Jude's lips were firm, his stubble scratching pleasantly against Ryan's face. His hand came up to cup Ryan's jaw, tilting his head for better access. Ryan made a sound low in his throat and opened his mouth, deep thought.